The views and opinions expressed by the host and our guest does not state or reflect Ramona personally or the Life Designing with Ramona Rogers podcast. Hello. This podcast takes a glimpse into the lives of women that despite their life's obstacles and challenges, they have knocked down barriers and are succeeding in their chosen careers and in life. And today I have the pleasure of having entrepreneur, executive business coach, and performance coach, Sherry Capet. I always say Capet.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, you explain it however you need to. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, who are you? Who is Sherry? Where does Sherry come from?
So, Sherry is a mystery.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. It was kind of fun. I am an executive business and performance coach, like you mentioned. I live in Connecticut with my son. He is 18. I have 3 puppies. I grew up in Connecticut, so I haven't moved out of New England. I love being in New England, so I grew up here. I had a lot of experiences along the way, and I'm sure we'll get into those with the questions that you have. I had a lot of experiences along the way. Got a very diverse background. I never stopped learning. So, like for example, today I was at a conference. I never stopped learning. I love learning. I love reading podcasts, anything to exercise my brain and just continue building the knowledge and the experience so that I can better deliver to my clients and people that I mentor and people that I coach.
That's a mouthful. So executive business, what experiences or what education did you get in order to be able to do executive business coaching?
So for working with an executive, the perk of working at home, you hear sounds. So for working with executives, I started actually at the ground level. I really didn't know much about working with executives and working in business. My first job was working at, this may be a problem. Hold on a second.
So we were talking to Sherry, executive business and performance coach today, and Sherry is telling us all about her journey. And so Sherry, we're talking about your background and what prepared you to become executive business coach and performance coach.
Yeah. So when I first came into corporate, I started at the ground level, just like everybody else. Started at the bottom. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea what I was getting myself into. But my first corporate job was at ESPN. And from there, I really paid attention. I really got to know who people were, what they did. I never said no to an opportunity, and I never said no to getting to know somebody. So that really helped because I got to understand who people were and understand their roles and what they did. And in addition to that, so while I was at ESPN, I was also going to college. I was studying communications. I was studying advertising and marketing. That was while I was there. Prior to that, I had studied sports medicine. So when I transferred over to the other university, I was learning communications, how to read people, how to talk to people, how to understand different styles of communication and different ways people comprehended things, the way the brain worked and processed information, how to present yourself in different situations, how to talk to different situations, how to talk to different levels of people. When I was younger, I also learned a lot with how to act in social situations, how to sit, how to walk, how to stand, how to do a lot of things. There was a lot of interesting behaviors I learned from my grandparents. So I learned how to also act with different types of people in different situations and present myself there. So you take that coupled with the training and the education I got with communications and business and I kept learning after, medicine and business. I studied teaching English as a foreign language, teaching English as a second language, English for business. I studied art, history, literature, studio art, a lot of different things. And then I also, studied, I also was a part of the arts, and with the arts comes discipline. You get a lot of skills working in the arts, in music and in dance. So you take all of those skills that I had and you learn how to apply them to different areas of your life, different business areas, and different, time management skills, things like that. You apply them And you just build on top of that with the experience that you get in business and in corporate and in training with people of different levels. I really noticed things when I would go into executive meetings. I remember a conversation I had with the president of a company when I was in one of those meetings, and he said, just remember that, you know what you're doing, you know who you are. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to say anything. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Everybody starts at the bottom. And while people have definitely earned a certain level of respect for who they are, what they've done, what they've accomplished, they're still people. You can still talk to them. You can still ask them questions. You shouldn't be intimidated by a title. They've earned it, but that doesn't make them less human.
Wow.
So I just continued to ask questions, and I wasn't afraid. Wasn't afraid to go into a room of people that, it's okay if they were executives. I wanted to learn from them because, the real changes start at the top. People have ideas and they want to make changes, and they want to make changes for the better. And everybody's ideas should be listened to. But as you start from the bottom up, there's always red tape, there's paperwork, there's meetings. It's hard to get through to higher levels. If you start at the top and you can create that positive change, and you can make sure the top people are operating, their team is operating at the level they should be operating at, all the people with the right skills are in place, they're hitting their KPIs and their goals, and they're hitting everything, and it's a well-oiled machine, and they're happy and they're leading by example, then all that positivity and all that leading by example, all the big stuff will trickle down, and they'll see the change, and there'll be better morale, better employees. People, no matter what business you're in the people business. I don't care if you're in the tech space, if you're in architecture, if you're in coaching, if you're in whatever you're an attorney. Doesn't matter what you're in. No matter what you're doing, you're in the people business. And if you can't relate to people, if you can't communicate and understand people, you're not going to succeed, because people are the most valuable part of anything that we do.
No, I agree. Totally agree with that. So it seems like you were just out the womb, just steamrolling. Sounds like. So,
out of my way.
Well, I mean, you're just so, matter of fact, almost about where you were headed to. So, and that's their business side. What about your personal side? Was it the same way? You knew what you were going for? Was there any defining moments in your personal life that helped you maneuver your business side to be really, intentional about where you were going?
Yeah. So my personal side, I had some things happen in my life that, even though I understood people and I knew from experiences what I was dealing with, like going into business pieces, when you have those life-defining moments, it changes your perspective even more than it doesn't have to be going from a negative to a positive. It can be going from a positive to an even more of a positive, because you have a new level of understanding for things. So, I was not in a great marriage, and I had some things happen, and I ended up being a homeless single parent. My son was young. It was not good for either of us, but I didn't have any help. I didn't really have, I didn't have a lot of people I could go to. It was really just me and my son. It's always been us. So what I did was I took everything I had, and I just said, all right, I'm going to have to start this. I'm going to have to start doing some things. I didn't have the help at home. I didn't have the money, obviously, to put him in daycare, and I didn't want to put him in daycare. But I knew I had to work to take care of us, and I knew I had to take care of him and be there for him as well, financially and personally, as his mom. So there were times I went weeks without eating so that my son could eat. I remember, sleeping on the floor of the apartment that I was finally able to get. He had his things, which was fine, but sleeping on the floor, I had nowhere to sleep. Except on me, nothing to sleep on except the floor. But I always made sure he had what he needed. And it really, even though I appreciated things before, it made me appreciate things even more, because I didn't have the basic necessities for what I needed. I eventually had a roof over my head, so I wasn't sleeping in my car. I had clothes on my back, minimal, but there were days I would just go with the same clothes. I didn't have food, but my son did, so that was important. And I had the things that I had to get me through. I had the experience. I knew I had the experience. I knew I could do something. So I just said, I didn't care what it was going to work. I had to make it happen in order to do this. I took all the experience. I took all the opportunities that I had, all the times that I didn't say no to an opportunity so I could learn from it. And I took all the experience I learned from that, all of my education. And what I did was I would work during the day when my son was, in school, or if he had time before he was even in school, when he was taking naps, I would do work. He would get up, or when he would come home from school, I would be spending time with him. He would go to bed at night. I would stay up and I would do more work. I would take free classes. I would do free online trainings just to stay up to date and learn on the things I already knew, and also learning things that I could do. I got financial aid so that I could go back to school and keep learning. Even if it wasn't one class at a time, it was one class that I could take at night so that I could keep up on my skills. And anything I could to just keep moving forward. Plus, it also kept me distracted with everything that was going on. I just had to push through it on my own because I couldn't let anything happen to my son.
Wow, a lot. So if I remember correctly, was there a health issue in there somewhere as well?
Yes, there was. I ended up dealing with cancer. And again, even when I had that, I think the longest I was out was 1 week. I had to have blood transfusions. I had a complication in the hospital. And so I ended up not being able to go home after a couple of days. I was in the hospital for a week having the transfusions. And then after I got home, I remember that I had my laptop. My laptop kept me busy. I had the laptop lifestyle going back to 2004. I was at home. And so I was working off my laptop. I was getting work done intermittently. I was napping when I needed to. One of my last major surgeries, my son had joined the Boy Scouts. So one of my last major surgeries, I sent my son away for the summer. Didn't want him around, didn't want him to see it. He wanted to be there, and I told him he needed to go be a kid. He needed to go with the boys. He needed to go and not take care of him. My job was to take care of him. His job was not to take care of me at that age. So I sent him away for the summer and told him when he got back, I would be in better condition. I'd be able to do more, and he could help me with little things, but that wasn't his job. His job was to be a kid.
Wow. So what would be one word that you could say that has defined you in your journey?
Oh boy. One word. Stubborn. Stubborn. I don't give up. Because I don't give up. When the doctors tell me I can't do something, I do it anyway to whatever level I can. If I'm told that the answer is no, or it's not possible in life or in business, I say, yes, it is. And we're going to find a way. And if they say you can't do it, I say, watch me. So I don't give in easily.
Such a growth mindset. Such a growth mindset, which is obviously what's needed to conquer the many things you've talked about. I created this podcast because I wanted not only to showcase and highlight women who are, despite life's challenges, are actually doing. They actually designed what the outcome that they wanted, and it's manifested, and they're living it. And to also, for people that are maybe not understanding or knowing that they too can be successful, to encourage them by listening to somebody else's story. So what is some advice that the first thing is you would give your younger self?
Oh, my younger self would be, you know what? People ask, what would you change? What advice would you give? What would you do? And as tough as life has been, as hard as it's been, I don't think I would change anything because it didn't make me, otherwise it wouldn't have made me the person I am today. If I could give myself advice, I would say, continue to grow, continue to learn. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say yes to opportunities that come along. Doesn't matter what it is, because you can't say you don't like it if you haven't tried it. Don't rush into things. And I think that's what I would do. But I don't think I would change, as much as I don't like the things that happened, I don't think I would change it either, because it's made me stronger and it's made me a better person for it.
Good advice for a younger you. What about a person who is just not knowing where to begin with life and they've experienced, an 18-year-old not wanting to go to college, out of high school. What is some advice that you would give to them about designing their life and living their life on purpose and with purpose?
It's funny you say that because I had this conversation with my son because he graduated high school last year. He is not going to college. And he said to me, what do I do? Do I have to go to college? What do I have to do? I said, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to. There's no rule book that says you have to do these steps because this is what life says you have to do. When he talked to me about it, I said, what do you like? I don't know. I think I know, but I don't know. Said, well, take a gap year. What you do is you go and you try as many things as possible. You do as many things as possible. And you take those experiences and you say either, hey, I like this. You can say, I love this. I want to do more of this. Or you can say, you know what? I don't like it, but I'm happy I did it because now I have skills in that area and I learned something from it. And then after you figure out what you want to do, then you decide, do I need to go to college for that? Do I need to further my education? Do I need to go to a technical school? Do I need to get some other type of on-the-job training? You figure out what it is after you've tried things, because there may be something that you do that you just try that you may not realize that you like and that you're really good at unless you've done it. So I would say that you don't have to go to college. That doesn't fix everything. And you don't want to live your life being unhappy. You want to live your life doing what you want to do. And you may not know what you want to do for the rest of your life. You may find something you like and say, okay, I want to do this. And then 5 years later, something new will come along because technology is changing, the world is changing. You may have something new that comes along and you may be like, hey, you know what? I think I'm really good at that. I want to try that. There's nothing that says you can't. You can try anything you want to try. Travel the world. See the world. If you don't know what you want to do, you know what? Travel the world and see what's out there. There's more outside of your state. And there are so many people that never leave their state or their area because they're afraid, and they're afraid of what's out there, but they don't take that chance. When people get to the end of their life, their biggest regret is not actually living it. They regret not taking chances. They regret not living out their dreams. They regret so many things, but their biggest regret is not actually living. So while you're here, while you're young, while you're exploring what you want to do, go and live. You may find something you want to do in another country, international studies, who knows? But you're not going to know unless you go and do it.
Great advice. Well, one thing that from a conversation we had a while back that you've just accomplished that was not on your radar. You are an author now, not only an author, but part of you're a best-selling author on Amazon. How'd that feel? How'd that come along?
That was exciting. So I met you and Sanja, the visionary author, the woman who led the visionary project, in a mastermind a couple of years ago now. Actually, I think it was 2 years ago, and so Sanja had started this project, and she was talking to us about it in our group our group chat and our group discussions that we have. We have our calls to keep us motivated and our discussions to keep us going. Where are we? How are we doing? Can we help each other? Those types of things, which is great to have that networking and that resource and that support group with like-minded people to keep you moving forward. And she said she was doing this book project, and we were, invited to be a part of this, and all the information started coming out about how it was going to happen. And it was kind of amazing to see it evolve with the writing coach and the editor and the publishing and all the steps. I mean, all the steps were there to help us become successful. We just had to do it. And we were given some great resources that, we were told don't always happen when you're publishing a book or you're part of a book project. So it was really exciting. And then, when we did the campaign and we became a #1 best-selling author, I remember talking to you and I was just like ready to scream. I was so excited and we were both so happy. It's like, I don't know. It was a different feeling because I've never never had that before. I've never written a book, but it was really exciting to be able to share the story and hopefully, inspire and empower other people, other women, so that they don't accept no for an answer and they do live their life.
Yes. And, I just remember about over a year ago, you're like, nah, I'll never write a book. That's not on my agenda. So I thought it was pretty ironic that your first time out of the chute, you ended up being Amazon bestseller. So
yeah,
the things that are not on our radars are so-called not on our radars.
Yep.
End up being on there, and you were part of a project that would just blew our minds. And so that added to your title, actually, that you need to update author. So just an amazing person, just an amazing leader and business coach. How can people find you and connect with you if they need services that you, and actually, what are some services that you offer for individuals, for entrepreneurs?
So right now, I'll just tell you, my website is under construction. It's being rebuilt. With everything that we've been doing, I decided to have it rebuilt. So you can find me on Instagram. It's my full name, Sherry Angelique Capet. Get little underscores in there, so you can find me in there. You can find me on LinkedIn, same name, and on Facebook, the same name. It's all the same. You'll see the same picture, the same name up there. So you can find me on any three of those platforms. And the website will be up soon. Okay. So what I do with coaching, it really depends on where people are with what they're doing. If you have no idea, if you have an idea, it really depends on the level that you're at, where we can take you from what you want to do to fruition. So there's different stages of what we do, but it's really, what I like to do is just have like a quick 15-minute call to talk to people to see also if I'm the right fit based on what they want to do. And kind of figure out where they're at and what their plan is, talk through their ideas if they don't have a plan, and figure out what their goals are, and just kind of see what they like, what they're looking for. So this way, like, I can make sure that I'm the right step in their path of what they need to do, unless they need to take other steps before me, and to make sure that whatever they're looking for, like I said, am I the right fit? Or do they need somebody else? I always want to make sure that they're working with the right type of person based on what they want to do at that level.
Oh, so in essence, just like you design your life, helping them design their business to grow. Well, Sherry, I wish you all the luck in the world. You seem to be like killing it, and you are an inspiration not only to me, but the listeners that are listening to this podcast, and they can take a glimpse into your life to see that, no matter what's going on, they can overcome it and they can become successful. And that's what this podcast is all about, is women just killing it no matter what's going on in life. No matter where you start, don't mean that's where you're going to end up. And just, you are a fine example of living your life by design. And so I thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to stop in and chat with me about your life and how you are doing the things that you're doing. And for those of you who are listening, this is the Life Design Podcast with Ramona Rogers. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.